Alexa, shuffle my music. Okay, let me see what's actually showing up now. All these things we wondered, how would I know? Alright, how the fuck do I get out of there? Let me see here. You can hear me. So where's the rest of it? Professionalism! That's what I'm known for. What the fuck am I doing here? I'm trying to get this thing out of. If I change it, does it change that? No. What's that button do? Oh, that's terrible. I don't like that. Okay, let's see here. Oh, I think I have to push this. Ah! I am smart. SMRT. Okay, now we got this shit. Okay, alright, alright. Whew. Careful, idiots on board. Okay. Alright, alright, alright. So I was thinking I wanted to do something a little bit in those backgrounds. I'm not 100% sure it'll work. But I think it will. Needs more medium. It's getting too thick there. I'm a motherfucking rhinoceros. It's fat and birds on my back and I'm horny. See, you really do. See? Domesticated. Is a hip hopopotamus. The hip hopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless. I love that. So the rhymes are polite, like when you didn't miss right. That was very delicious. Good night. sometimes they're obscene, like a pornographic teen. And it's reading margarine. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, it's a margarine. Did Steve tell you that perchance? Steve. Records that don't get played because my rhymes that don't get made. And if you roll like me, you don't get paid. If you roll like me, you don't get laid. I'm so potent that in this small segment I made all of the bitches in the area pregnant. Yes, sometimes my lyrics are sexist, but you lovely bitches should know that I'm trying to correct this. Say my rhymes are sissy. Why? Be more constructive with your feedback, please. My grandma got a cup of tea. Ain't no party left. My name is Tea Party. Mother flipping. What do you guys think? It's like a little nice little thing. Somebody talk. See if the chat box works. Come on, fuckers. I hope nobody's like expecting me to come like John saying, "Big hey homies." No, I love John, but that's not my style, man. It's funny. I tell my wife that sometimes she'll ask me if I'm watching John Salmon. And she's like, "You're just as bad as the children watching these people play." And I'm like, it's funny because unlike my son, I'm literally watching so I can get better. I'm literally, I think John's he's not a great player. By any extent, I mean, he's not a grand champ or anything like that, but he's better than I am, so he's something I can learn from. And, but I also tell her, I'm like, it's funny too, is because if you know me from you, oh, jeez, that sounds funky. Anyway, like, my personality and the way I tend to be, if you've been watching these, you might know, tend to be a bit, we'll say, cantankerous. John would be somebody that I probably would not like, especially given, like, under normal circumstances, I guess. But whatever it is, I've gotten to like, his broadcasts, and it's like I watch them all the time, and admittedly, I've fallen off, but that's primarily because I've been playing my phone a lot at work when I'm on my breaks, so I haven't been watching as much YouTube. I don't get to watch them on stream anymore, like, ever, because, West Coast and all that stuff. Whoever's broadcasting, I tend to be sleeping. I used to wear his flag when I was playing Rocket League, so I could let everybody know, like, I am a Boost Hog. This is the man who's technically and inadvertently taught me to play Rocket League, so I will steal boost at every given goddamn moment. I was doing some practice matches right before I came on. I gotta load up the one on my YouTube account. It started off really well because I was like way the fuck out of position. There's no way I should have gotten that save. And this ball was going skyrocketing, and I kind of curved it in, popped it loose, right, saved it, and then drove it all the way in for a goal. You know the reason why. So if you're not paying, you can't see this, I'm sure, because my camera's so shitty, and I know. I'm applying for another grant, I promise. So, we'll keep trying. Someone will get it. But, I'm
putting in a little bit of the turquoise blue that we used as the base color in here. And just kind of outlining a few leaves. Just so it's like, we don't have really detail in the photo that we were working off of. So I'm kind of free to make this kind of however the fuck I feel like it. I feel like putting in a few structures adds a little something to it. Picks my eyes, the worm, he licks my bones.
Feels so suicidal, just like Dylan's Mr. Jones. Lonely.
This is Christopher Walken singing it. If I ain't dead already, girl, you know the reason why. It's terrible, Christopher Walken. I just have to warm up. Something Jay Moore used to do, I think. I think it was Jay who did it originally. So that he was getting like makeup done or something, and Christopher walked in. Frankenstein never scared me. Marsupials do. Because they're fast. I can't remember if it was Jay Moore or Kevin Pollak said that one. I hope I can remember. One of the things I worked out with Mike because I desperately needed the paints, but I didn't have the cash. He ordered me 2 tubes of paint, and I'm taking that off of the price of the commission. But I gotta share the receipt, the gift receipts. They're in my house right now. I gotta remember to go get them when I go put the kids to bed. Now I know how to do this editing shit. I'm powerful. Come on, somebody talk. I want to see it pop up on the screen here and see if it works. If I fucked it up. I mean, chances are I fucked it up. But remember to call and find a way. Find somebody to tell me if I actually bought the right fucking ticket for. The Irish Festival. Something popped up on the Renaissance Fair's website, and it's got me paranoid. If I didn't, I gotta make sure I find a way to add it on there or something. I want to see these dudes. Scalyx Storm, by the way. Sorry. Should talk. I realize you guys can't hear it. I always think about that. I just forget, I should say. Like, I think about it after I'm done. I'm like, oh, I yelled at the dot, and they don't even know it went off. Unless I'm singing along, you guys know what I'm listening to, but you're also forced to suffer to hear me sing. If I land, till I can almost feel the famine slip into my trembling hand. Oh, now we're cooking. So there's a couple people here. Say hello. Let me see my chat box thing pops up right. I mean, I may need to fix it. I don't know. That's what I'm trying to. I need tests. Give me the cash. Nice hat. You like it? Ah. Alexa, skip. I heard that today. Yes, I understand that every life must end on. As is it all wrong? I want someday else to go on. I don't want a man who count on both hands the ones I love. Some folks say I have none, yeah, others they got none. Stay with me, our hearts is free. Focus on our sins, never gonna let them win on. I never wanna hurt, there's so much in this world. What the fuck? I don't wanna fucking see shit like that. A little bit of the focus. A little better. That's a little better. You, well, if I didn't, I'm a fool, you see. No one knows this more than me. 'Cause I come clean out every day. Now since no one's talking, I'm gonna go on a little rant. I had a little bit earlier with a buddy of mine at work. I was watching parts, and it's just because it came up through like the YouTube, like you go through a YouTube hole, and parts of the cartoon Justice League War came up. It's basically just an animated version of the New 52's first few issues of Justice League. But it got me thinking, and it just pissed me off a little bit. Like, I don't think Justice League was a horrible, horrible movie. Was it great? No. And do we deserve great? Yes. So I just want to start with that, just so everybody knows where I'm coming from on this. But if you look at Justice League War as a cartoon, but just look at it as a movie, they were able to give you enough information on all the characters, that you can relate to them even if you'd never seen Batman before, you'd never seen Green Lantern, whatever. They did it in a way that really just, here we are, okay, Green Lantern in his ring works from concentration, okay, and, your man dresses up like a bat, really? Like, blah, 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 And, oh, he's Kryptonian, he's from outer space. Like little things like that they did so well. And it got me pissed off, because it's like, they should have handled, the DCEU just could have been handled so much better. And it's probably too far to really, really fix it. But I was just thinking about like how they could have done so much more had they not killed Superman. That's the first thing. You can't do Batman versus Superman. The next main movie. All right. You do Man of Steel. It's fine. I thought Man of Steel was actually pretty good. Does he act a little out of character? Yeah, but it's also supposed to be him like first becoming Superman, so he doesn't know how to be Superman yet. So I'm okay with that. And when I look at Superman 2 versus, say, Man of Steel, since they're both Zod, I'm trying to figure out how Zod as a general would have been, especially when they gave him actually a pretty good reason for behaving the way he does in Man of Steel. It's not just that he's, vengeful or whatever, He's trying to protect his people. That's how he views it. And I think that's, it makes him, relatable. It makes him sympathetic. So, all right. Man of Steel happens, fine, no problem. And then, like, the next movie, you either go hardcore straight into Justice League. You want to, give the Wonder Woman movie first, that's fine, too. You could do it that way. But you don't do Batman versus Superman. You save that till you're done with the DCEU, or you're going to reboot it. Okay? And hear me out on it. So you do something like, Man of Steel. Then you go through, you do, like I said, Wonder Woman. As much of a mess as it was, Suicide Squad, Justice League, whatever. Any of those, really, you could shuffle any one of those three around however the fuck you want to do it. Doesn't really matter. All right? But the Justice League one, you make more like War was, in the fact that this isn't Batman trying to pull everybody together. It just happened to fucking fall together, Like, okay, Green Lantern's chasing the, and you have to have Green Lantern. You have to get over that one. And you can do Jon Stewart if you want to switch it up a little. That's fine. Though it's better when Batman shows up Hal for some, it's just, I don't feel like John would fall for it. But anyway, you have Green Lantern stumble upon Batman or whatever as he's chasing the Parademon. All right, they have their little moment. They go to figure out, there's this thing that's, alien, let's go talk to the Kryptonian, and then they go over to Metropolis. Now here, Superman can be a little bit more Superman-y, without being, you give him a chance to be Superman, I guess, that's what I'm saying. Instead of just giving us, like, that little thing in the beginning of Justice League. Then, all right, you do all the other character introductions that come through, because they all worked pretty well. And if you want to do Steppenwolf, you don't want to introduce Darkseid yet. Okay, that's cool. You do you, but you don't make it being Steppenwolf that's going around doing all this shit. You have the parademons being the ones doing it. Alright, they wrap it up. Boom, 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 boom. They're done. Now you can go into your Batman movie if you want to. You go to The Flash, Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, Superman 2, whatever the hell you want to do next. You do that next. Again, we are not going to do Batman versus Superman. Superman 2, Man of Steel, whatever 2, that's where you can do the Death of Superman if you want to. Alright, you're up to ante if Darkseid comes after they beat Steppenwolf or whatever, if you want to do it that way. Okay? And you can figure out any other fucking way to do it. I mean, again, they can use Zod's body or whatever after experimenting. Something, I don't care. Doesn't matter how you do it. Or give them his actual origin story. But you never do the Batman versus Superman yet. But you can put into maybe the next Justice League movie, or whatever. Any other time you have Batman and Superman interact, if it's in the Death of Superman, whatever. You put a few moments where they're not quite seeing eye to eye anymore. You just have a few little, maybe, Clark doesn't appreciate the way that Bruce is doing things. Crank this around for a second, because I want this more up here. Okay. Now you go into, like I said, maybe Flash 2 or Batman 2, whatever you want to do, blah, blah, blah. And when you finally say you're done with it, the guys are getting too old, they need to get change the stuff, they want to leave their contracts, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's when you hit them with, okay, now we're going to do Batman versus Superman. You basically do it as they were starting to not see eye to eye together in these little moments, and then you have these, okay, they're starting to butt heads in one of the Justice League movies. Now they're really butting heads. So now you want to get into, whatever. Clark is becoming more the American way puppet kind of thing, and Bruce is trying to hold on, Make it almost, because Civil War really did steal kind of that same concept of these two, Captain America and, Iron Man button heads. So you kind of do the same kind of idea, because it was theirs first, technically. It's Dark Knight Returns. But you don't have to make it so that Batman's old and retired or any of that other bullshit. You just let it, they're just button heads, and then they get to the fight. And in it, very important, in it, Batman appears to die. It can't be, Bats doesn't kill Superman. That's but he does the fake out at the end. And then, Bats goes underground because he realizes he's kind of an antique in this new, in the way the world's becoming or whatever. So he changes it up. He gets, maybe he introduced the Sons of the Bats or whatever, somewhere in that movie. And so you give them that little moment, but then okay, we're going to take it back a little, and okay, now Batman's underground. Then to finally reboot Crisis. Because you don't need the standard Batman. Batman in Crisis isn't that big a role. It's more on Supes and Flash and all those guys. So what you can pull off, you could, if you want to, you need a Batman, you use another Earth's Batman. You don't use the DCEU set Batman. You create a new one. New actor, younger, whatever you want to do. You bring in Christian Bale. I don't know. Again, whatever. You do one of a million things that you could pull off. With Crisis. And then you reset the universe. New Superman, new Wonder Woman, all new actors. Everybody can move on cleanly. It's the one thing that DC Comics has that Marvel's got multiverses, and obviously they've introduced them sort of in the movie universe, but it's not something that, like, when I think of Marvel Comics, I still don't think of multiverses. I know they have them, but I just don't multiverse with Marvel. But man, with DC, it's like, oh, other Earths, yeah, sure, fuck yeah, of course, there's multiples, you know? And that's what I mean. Like, you gotta find a way to do that. I think it's a good plan, but unfortunately it's too late now because they've already fucked it all up. And I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think I'm being out of line by saying that. They fucked it up. But since nobody's talking, that's what I'm going to say. That's my opinion, and nobody's countering it. So therefore, I am right. If you see this in the YouTube videos later, feel free to counter it. Or if you're going to listen to me right now, feel free to counter it. Say, you're a fucking moron, Brian, and I will say, you're probably right. Actually, I'll probably say more like Homestar Runner pick. Yeah, you're probably right. To live as an untold story, I'd rather go out in a blaze of glory. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You know, a little bit of that green got in here. Now it's like a nice mustard yellow. It's very weird. I was not expecting that. Like, I could put this on my hot dog right now and then be disgusted and probably be poisoning myself. I'm rather go into the sound that's for me. Why would you guys suggest that? It's terrible. Oh, let's see if the chat box works. Come on, I see it circling. Someone say hi. I know, it's fucking annoying, right? Hi. Sounds like a end of Jimmy Neutron. Hi, I'm Paul. My oldest used to watch it all the time. My son did too, actually. I didn't think about it. It's love and pain, won't be a bright and shine. I gotta try to remember. I did not take a good photo yet of Kyram, so I still need to do that. And I never loaded up. What's it called? That's interesting. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Now I'm concerned this isn't gonna work. Huh. Alexa, skip. But I never loaded up to my Society 6 store. I don't believe the bridge. I need to load that one up too. If anybody's ever interested in prints of my work, my store is Society6/MenaceArt. Well, Society6.com/MenaceArt. If you've ever had a run-in online with a Menace Art, at a comic book forum or anything like that, and they offended you, it was me. As far as I know, I'm the only Minnesota online. Been that way for many, many years. I suppose I should explain that, shouldn't I? I mean, where my name comes from. My parents gave it to me. No, I'm just... That's where my name comes from, but where my online handle comes from. Such a shit joke. Sorry. Anyway, that's like I used to tell people, I'm really glad my parents named me Brian. And so I say, why? And they said, because that's what everybody calls me. Right. It's really cool when I did that to my wife once. You could actually like hear her eyes rolling in the back of her head. It's like, just, yeah. No, the origin of Menace Art is because my buddy Bungo and I, we tried to make a comic many, many years ago after we both gotten laid off from Sprint PCS. And it's sort of based on an old comic character that I had created when I was like 11, 10, 11, something like that. And he desperately needed updating. I mean, he was originally called like the Phantom Cop or something like that. It was bad. So we transitioned it to a character called Menace. And it was, honestly, I'll admit to it, it was a jump from Phantom, Menace. That's literally how it worked. Yeah. Not incredibly proud that we named my character after the movie, sort of, in a way, but it worked. Anyway. But we had tried to make this thing go for a while. And so he was, the writer on the book, and I was the artist. So I was Menace Art, and for a while online he was Menace Wright. But mine stuck, his didn't. Because he already had like a racing forum like name, and so it stuck with that. So, yeah. It's very important when you get your online handle. You got to hold on to that shit. So as I said, if you've ever run into a Menace Art on a forum somewhere or whatever, on a YouTube comment or whatever it may be, and I offended you, not sorry, but it was me. Geeks in town. Go on, David, think of one. Yeah, I see. Geeks with sharp elves. Oh no, shit, it's D70. Fuck. Alright. So we're gonna hold off. I think that's all I'm really gonna do in the grassy areas. I had a couple of dashes of like alizarinums in there, just to give it a little flavors. Like I said, I put in the turquoise blue, making a little tree, like a few leaves. I think it works pretty well. Who knows? Maybe when I'm farther along into the boarding, I'll hate it and I'll try to get rid of it. But for now, I think it works all right. So I've got to put the kids to bed. Well, they're probably like... I'll give them a few minutes. Because you know what? Every time I go up early like this, you guys have to wait for a little bit. So how about we think instead? Actually, I do need... No, I got enough to work off the start. Okay. So... You're personally responsible. So need yellow ochre. Paled out a little bit. We're going to have some reflective greens in there. And nothing too heavy. rubbing alcohol flowed through the strips of fire. It didn't just singe the hair, it made it straight. Curiellis came. His silk. And he erected a beautiful city. City of Stars. Now, one thing I'm going to do too, while we're thinking, I got to remember, I want to do the collar before I even start on the fur. Just because the collar is going to go under it, you know. So I want to make sure I get that done. There's something else I thought I was looking at that I want to make sure I do first before I do. Oh, the eyes. That's right, I wanted to do the eyes first this time. I always end up waiting on the eyes. And I think that's a fuck up on my part. I think that's a big fuck up on my part. Because I've been thinking about the portrait of Madame Roland and the baby. What the fuck is the baby's name? It's out of my head. Oh, this is terrible. I should know this. As close as I believe I am to the Roland family sometimes. My head. Madame Roland's Augustine. It doesn't matter. But anyway, the portrait of Madame Roland that's in the Philadelphia Art Museum. Alexa, pause. It's an incomplete portrait. If you really pay attention to it, that painting is not finished. It looks like something that either Vincent was working on, maybe when he got sick, or whatever. He abandoned it for some reason. He never got to finish it. But the eyes are done, and that kind of strikes me. It always, like, I mean, especially the baby's eyes are so bright, you know. So I wanna do that first. So the eyes and the collar before we start on the fur, but we gotta get the deck done. So I'm kind of putting the cart, the cart before the horse, putting the horse before the cart, or whatever. I don't know. Fucking it up. We'll burn that bridge when we get there. Yeah. So let's see. It went black on me, and I'm not happy with it. I don't know why. Let's see if this works. If not, I'll just type be right back. Ah, it did work. Okay, cool. I just said all that and I fucking had it mute. Anyway, I'd forgotten to get these, so that's why I was a little bit late coming back. Anyway, you saw them. But they said, please don't eat this paint. Don't choke and die on this. That would be tragic, and I would hate to see that happen. I was like, aw, he writes such sweet things. I saw it this morning. What's funny, though, is I told my son, like, I showed my son those. He had seen them, actually, before, because they were just sitting in the basement. And he was like, yeah, I saw that, Daddy. I thought at first it said, I would, how did I say it, like, but that wouldn't be tragic or something. And he was like, I was like, oh, he probably could have sent that too. I'm like, I was like, buddy, me and my friends, for the most part, constantly joke about each other, killing each other. I was like, it's just kind of the way we do it. I was going to say we also used to, still at this, now nearly 40 years old, still make your mom jokes. But I thought I better not. I want to try to be at least a sort of competent parental figure, sort of, maybe. Hey, look, I got one out of the house, right? Sort of. She's moving out soon with her boyfriend. I mean, she's been living with my parents for a while, but she's moving out of their house soon. They're getting serious. Like Snape. Black. Yeah, that's what I should have said. Fuck, I fucked that up. That would have been fucking genius. Can we all pretend that actually was genius? We'll just pretend I didn't say the wrong thing. Thank you. Yeah, I responded anyway, so what the fuck do I care? Alright. I had to mercy, didn't it? Fully slows me up. Yeah, that's one. That's my little loose brush. That's the one I want. I really should mix with something else first. Let's get the palette knife out. Damn, this is a beautiful song. So the color I'm mixing real quick, just so everybody knows. Bring it over here. We're doing titanium white, yellow ochre, and a little bit of the Naples yellow deep again, and pull that back. I always find when you use like repeat the colors and the bases and stuff, you get some nice effects out of that. You get like a balance. You know, I'm not somebody that will ever, I used to try it, and believe me, it never worked for me, but, like, make up, like, a palette with, like, here's all my colors that I'm going to, mix together and use and whatever, and, in a nice organized pattern. That never worked for me. I sound like a big motherfucking palette, big plastic fucker. And I just found I kept running out of room. That's why I ended up going with these disposables, because I may take it off a page and just leave it over here and then leave it over there or whatever, and then I'll break it into it again, I'll use something in there later, but it gives me room to mix other things. Like I said, I know I waste a lot. I know I do, but it's just a matter of I'd rather make sure I had the color I need and never have to remix it, because I don't want to run the risk of being off. And I want to make sure that I have enough that, if I have to go a day or two between chances to paint, that they kind of stay wet and they keep it going for me. Damn, this is beautiful. Sorry. If you've never heard Mercy by Richter, played by Hilary Hahn, you need to. Jesus Christ, this thing will make you cry. It's literally the sound that, like, I heard in my soul when I had my breakdown and I looked out into the field and I couldn't hear, like I couldn't see colors like I had, like I'd been used to, like I see again, but they'd been gone for a while. They were gone for almost a month. And yeah, it's just a mourning, you know what I mean, like that type of thing. It's the cry you make when someone you've loved has passed, or it's that same type of weeping. I think I mentioned that there's an article that was just published about how they found audio trails that basically seem to show that the best violins in the world. Ew. Getting all deep and I gotta fuck this up. Have a similar audio trail to human voices. There's my deep moment when I was in the middle of just want to get a little more in there, so this way it's a little more fluid. Goes on smoother. And again, now I pre-laid out where I was going to put shadows, but at the same point, I'm probably going to just flat out go over them. I know it sounds stupid, and it is. Probably is very stupid. I used to claim to be a smart man, then I realized I wasn't. And instantly became smarter because of it. If I can, I want to grab a little bit of the wood pattern, and I'm going to just sort of lightly brush over where I'm going to put the shadows in again. I want it there, but I don't want to be heavy-handed. Down on my knees. Now won't ya, Barracuda? Now I won't lie. I like this song. Okay, I want to make it clear. I do like Barracuda by heart. But the main reason it's in my collection right now is just because it helps remind me of that scene with Lucy Liu in Charlie's Angels. Damn, was she hot in that movie. Can I get an amen in the chat? No, because there's nobody here. Or your Stark people. Let's see, there's people here. Who's here? Come on now. It's only telling me there's one viewer, but then I'm looking at it saying there's 5 viewers under the names. I don't know what to believe anymore. My whole life's a lie. That's like somebody pointed out. Now, it's not the reason that it's named the place that it is, but somebody pointed out the fact that, you know, Arby's, when you say the word Arby's, you're just saying R-B's, as in the letters R-B's. Okay? And RB being letters that you would put for an abbreviation of roast beef. And I said, how old were you when you found that out? I was today's years old. And that's when I posted that. I said, my whole life is a lie. The truth be told, I figured out my life was a lie, as I've brought up many times on here, when I found out that Shock G and Humpty Hump were the same person. That ruined me for like a week and a half. I began questioning all elements of my reality. And it's like it got to a point. You start to think about that for a while. And I want you to think about it. I want to ruin your days, just like it was ruined mine. Where, you know, in order to pull it off, they had something. I think Shock in an interview said he had like 4 Humpty Hump actors. Sometimes it was him. Sometimes it was his cousin or something. I forget exactly the breakdown of it. Doesn't really matter. But when one of the other guys would be on stage, now sometimes it would be Shock as Humpty, and the guy in the back would be dressed like Shock G or whatever, or somebody, and he'd look like he was rapping, but Humpty had, you know, or whatever, or Shock, depending on which one Shock was being at the time. I know this is getting confusing. You know, he'd turn his back so he could rap the part that he's supposed to be rapping or whatever, or you know, and the person who was being the other one, whether they were being Shock or Humpty, depending again, would just lip sync. So they were doing live, but they weren't lip syncing, you know, but they were lip syncing, whoever was being Humpty or Shock or whatever. So it got to the point where you start to think about that and you go, well, why don't you guys just finally hire somebody to be Humpty? Like, I mean, like, just literally just the voice and all, because, you know, Humpty had a voice like this. It's not like it's that hard to do. You know what I mean? So, like, why not? Surely there's somebody that could have taught to rap and sound like Humpty Hump, you know, and had a different Humpty Hump. I don't know. I mean, I guess it gets a bigger paycheck. You know, I guess that's part of it, but it's just like, dude, that's a lot of shit to do for a scam that really serves no point. I mean, at one point in the album, he tells himself to shut up and listen. Like, you know, like, shut up and just listen. Not this, and not to get me wrong. You know. It's like, what if you learned that Busta Rhymes and Rampage were the same person? You'd be like, fuck, you know. I gotta replace this chair at some point. It's killing me. See, I bought this chair. I'm going to give you a little backstory because I have nothing else to talk about. I'm getting nobody's talking, so I can't have it to work off of. I bought this art chair many, many years ago, and I bought the drawing desk that is now just a table next to me, like over there. It's not on camera. Where is it on the? Oh yeah, it's sort of like. I'm just trying to. It's like right down there. Anyway, the drawing desk was most certainly turns out to be a student's desk, so it's very short, even at the highest point. So I kind of fucked myself over for a very long time with that. I'm not someone who likes to return things, especially when they were ordered mail order. So, it's just because it's a hassle. I have some Transformers I bought for my son that my mother-in-law had also bought. We didn't know it, so we just stuck them in the studio here, and I was going to return them like the next week, and I never returned them. And Amazon's supposed to be pretty easy to do returns with. And I was like, still got to do things. And I'm incredibly lazy. Just never underestimate my laziness. Alexa, skip. There we go. But like, so the chair. Oh, I went too much. Oh, that's bad. It's not horrible. We can fix it, but let's take this little guy here. Should do it. Just straighten it out a little bit. We're cool. Here's and bills and tears. Knives and a broken heart. Bottle of gin. Got to be a better way. Take away, take away this ball and chain. And I'm tired, and I can't take any more pain. Yeah. But like, so the chair at its lowest barely fits under the desk at its highest. And because it's always at this lowest section, I mean, I probably could lift it up now because I can, do a little bit better. And I'm less likely now to hit that thing. Wow, why haven't I done this before? I'm a moron. Especially because I've been like trying to make these up higher so people can see them. Chicks dig it. I even got me a little wife. Go anywhere, take away. Man, I really want to see if this chat box works, man. Well, actually, wait, can I? Let's see here. I mean, I chatted. Does it show anything? No, it does not. Strange is this. Oh, this doesn't show me at all. You never know. May just show you guys. I would have no way of knowing that. Let's just see here. Chat box. Wait. Is that like completely... No, okay, so that's... View. that was the frame though, but that's what I wanted to grab. Alright, I'm gonna click that, click that. Let's see. I don't think it's doing anything, just clicking the same button. On my money. And I don't see myself in there, so either my posts don't show up there, which is fine, or it's not done right. I can only, and I'm tired, and I can't take any more pain. Take away, take away. Nothing, huh? That's so interesting. Very interesting, but stupid. Oh wait, why am I doing that? I'm so confused. I'm fucking up everything here. Take away, take away, take away this ball and chain. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting till the evening comes. Wasting time. You know, when I turned 21, I was actually the first of my friends to turn 21. So it became a lonely 21st birthday party. So it was very much a loser party. And so I did a couple like bars I could walk to because I couldn't drive either. I didn't have my license at the time. So I just kind of wandered through local bars. And after I'd had a few, like the third or fourth bar I stopped at, they had a jukebox. I started putting on all this depressing music. Put on The Dock of the Bay, Fire and Rain from James Taylor. And it's like, I must have put it in probably like $3. I mean, this one's almost a quarter or whatever of really depressing shit. And the guy the bartender just literally just yanked the cord out of the jukebox. It's like, I don't know who the fuck put that on, but this is depressing as shit. But the only people I knew that were over 21 at the time was my ex-wife. Surprise, surprise, I did not want to party with her. I know it's a shocker. That's odd, right? I mean, everybody wants to party with their ex-wife. My sister, but she had to work until, whatever normal time, so I was trying to get drunk on early in the day. So she did eventually come down, and it took me around to a couple places to get drinks. So I get lit up. My brother was too, obviously, because him and my sister are only a year apart. Not even. They're Irish twins. They're only 11 months apart. And then but where was he at? I think he ended up meeting me later, too. I'm trying to think, or he might have been living elsewhere. Anyway, but like I said, it was a rather bummer. What? The fuck did I say? Yeah, you better not answer that fucking bitch. Anyway, sorry. She responded to me. I would rather not answer that. Anyway, not to you guys. That's her. Anyway, but yeah, it was just funny. It was funny as hell because I'm at this bar. Literally, the bartender, I can't listen to it anymore. He had no idea who put it on. I was like, it's probably not, because he already gave me a, happy birthday. Here's a free beer kind of thing. And I was like, I better not be like, oh, it was me. I'm chronically depressed on my birthday because I'm alone and lonely. Well, now, well, as a matter of fact, I beer record gotta take a leak. So while I'm draining, entertaining, I like fame, too much be trying to me. Hey, yo. Shut up and just listen. Not listen, don't get me wrong. So just shucks. My name is Shaka Rock. You can't stop this. Tupac, go ahead and rock this. Girls used to frown, saying, damn, when I come around. Well, Obama's. No. Alright. Get your fame. People change. Want to live your life, huh? What to? Been all around the world. It's the same old song. How funny would it be if Barack Obama invited the Eagles to his house and they all showed up? I'd laugh my ass off. I'd drive the Cheeto in chief fucking nuts. Did I just offend half my no viewers? So what I need to do is I need to make a password because I get stuff sometimes people on Facebook go, I watched it, and they never tell me. Yeah, I need to get something where like they tell me a secret phrase or something. Once I'll say something here, I'll be like, all right, if you see on my Facebook page, like, say, banana hammock, something like that. Dude, that's crazy. I mean, it's not exactly right, but I said banana hammock, and now it's a banana song. Hey, me said that, me said that, me said that, me said that, me said that. Till I come and me won't go. Work all night on a drink of rum. Daylight come and me wanna go. Talk banana till the morning come. Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana. We wanna go home. What bunch? Daylight come and me want
go home. That misery. Daylight come, let me go home. Misery. Beautiful bunch, alright, banana. Mighty deadly black tarantula. Yo, why the tarantula gotta be black, yo? Seven-foot, 8-foot bunch. Daylight come and me wanna go home. Misery. Daylight come.
So it's funny, is I don't even know what the hell goes on the bottom here. So that's why I need to have like people just start doing stuff here. Like, spread it around, man. Spread the love. I'm trying to think if I've had any live followers since I changed the Jane Silent Bob thing. Let's see if you hear this. Jane, it should be a git. Yeah. Should be a GIF that pops up. Jane Silent Bob. I did it for my donations too, like a different one, but if I ever get one of those. Though I didn't want to change the sound effects. Still got to work on that. So I do like this brush. I mean, the metal, you know, is. Oh, maybe I had this one right. I fixed it. Oh, good. Never mind. Never mind. I was about to sound like an ass, or look like an asshole. This had actually been pretty loose. I must have clamped it down right finally. Reclamped it and got it right. Good, good. Because I tried it before and I didn't do it right. So there we go. Now I got it right. Never mind. I was gonna say we're gonna drop some super glue in there one day, just because I really do like how flat this brush can get. Like a lot of my flats have been ruined for a long time. This one does a nice job here. Actually, no, where's that book? Sorry, I was just thinking about something. Today at work, during my lunch break, I was watching the video version of How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. So it's got Stan Lee and John Buscema on it. if you never read that book, or had it as an aspiring comic artist, like, get it. It's still in print. It's look, the first video I watched that led to the link that led me to the actual video version of the book. Was basically critiquing it, whether or not it was really a specific thing for Marvel, or whether it was just like, here's how to do decent comics. And it really is just about how to do decent comics. It's not so much about, it's a great tool for propaganda, if they say it's the Marvel way to do things. But if you really pay attention to the stuff that was being done at DC, by that point in time and stuff, it's like, and a lot of those artists would go back and forth between the two companies, left and right. So it's like, especially back then, they didn't have as many exclusive contracts. So really, one person's way of doing it was the same on both, both companies. But no, oh, there it is. I see it right there. I'm looking at it. Where's my book? Where's my book? It's right there in front of me. I can see it. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, not that there's anybody watching. But I feel bored now. This is that bad boy. And mine's had some damage because it's actually like another book here attached to it. Some special edition coloring book. Somebody. I don't know who it is. This book has been through a flood or two, so it's a Kmart book. But like, I've had this book for years. I mean, like, it's covers yellowing, and this time of year it was printed. This one, the copyright's 1978. Trying to see if I can find actual date of print. This is something about 1984, but there's no way this one's 1984. I don't think I had it that long. Exciting, right? I just want to see if there's all rights reserved, including the right of reproduction in whole or part and form. Fireside edition, 1984. I don't think I had it that long. I think I got it when I was like 12. So, I don't know. It's a really good fucking book about drawing comics. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, look, some of it, the styles have changed dramatically. So there's certain things, but there's a lot of elements about just basic storytelling. And I'm going to tell everybody to listen to the one part of the book that I ignored for fucking ever. Because I was just wanting to get into the figure. I just wanted to draw the superheroes. And the biggest mistake, I think, when people try to break into superhero comics, I'll be that specific about that, but comics in general. We talked about storytelling before and the bridge, during the bridge sessions. But the chapter one's, it's stuff to be used or whatever. It's this. Chapter 2. Okay. Because it's telling you about how to draw all the background shit, really. I mean, here's really what the breakdown of that chapter is. It's about breaking down your simple forms, you know, seeing the oval in a plane, or, you know, squares in the cars, and etc. And how to break them down, and then, you know, it's kind of making a point that you should learn to draw all this shit. And I just want to draw superheroes, so I just like ignored all that shit for so long. And then when I tried to actually break it down, it's like, oh fuck, I don't know how to draw backgrounds like at all, not well, you know. So it took like another year of practice to transition to being able to draw certain factors of the background. Like, you know, and a lot of times I was forcing myself to lightbox it because it's like when I was talking earlier about how I got my name, the comic book we were trying to do with Menace took place in Philadelphia, so I would lightbox my backgrounds like crazy, just because it's easier. I'll try to take a picture as best I can, or find a picture as best I can at the angle I want, and I'm just gonna lightbox it because this way it's right. You know, I mean, when it came to certain buildings, if I had to, you know, once I had the layout of an area pretty much down. Well, that's bad. Fuck that one up. That's alright. We're okay. We'll do what we did last time. Just take that little thing and scrape it off a little bit. Scrape it back. So we have like a spot where we know we need to go back into it. But if you're trying to draw comics, draw the backgrounds. Honestly, ignore the figure for a while. I'm not saying forever. You know, don't pull Rob Liefeld. Though he doesn't draw backgrounds either. But anyway, again, not well. Shots fired. Anyway, but draw backgrounds. Draw chairs and cars, and, you know, draw you know, trash cans and shit. Draw a city block. If I go back to 12-year-old me, you know what I mean? I got that book back. Listen to the fucking first part. And then listen to the part on perspective. I mean, they're not great. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not great. It's a very good one. But they could go into perspective so much more than they do in it. Life's a never-ending wheel. And admittedly, now when I watched the video today, I mean, I remember that a lot of some of the stuff that's said there, it's basically like literally right out of the book. Like, instead of being, you know, I guess it was scripted, but it's basically scripted out of the book, the video. That's another thing I did wrong when I was a kid with it. I look at the stuff immediately surrounding the drawing, but all the other breakdown stuff that they had in there, all the descriptive stuff, I ignored. Primarily because the way, you know, my ADD would work back then, and before it was diagnosed as ADD, would be, hey, pictures, and words around it. It was basically like reading a comic book to me. So if it's immediately around it, sure. But if you got a paragraph like over here, fuck it, I ain't reading that. No, ride the tiger. So I'd always tell myself to read better, but. And I don't know if that's age, because I'm a much better reader now than I was, but. Let's put it this way. I know I wanted to become a better reader when, if I didn't before this. There's a guy I work with, not a buddy. He regularly says some of the most ignorant, asinine things. I'll give you a case in point. He said something about Chris Cornell. Like, basically, he hates any type of grunge music. He's a big 80s metal hair band type dude. Even though he's younger than that, but he likes that type of rock. So he has no taste. Anyway, I'm just making friends tonight. But he says some of the most ignorant shit. Some of the stuff I've heard him say to his wife and stuff. It's like, wow, you were just begging for a divorce, dude, and you just get married. Speaking of someone who's went through that, don't. But anyway, we were talking one time, and I don't remember what book I mentioned about reading or whatever. And he literally goes, I haven't read a book since I was in 8th grade. And I just looked at this like, no shit. What he said regarding Chris Cornell, all right, I'll tell you this. Like, he basically said, something along the lines of how, only one more grunge singer left to go, and then we're free of the music or something like that, referring to Eddie Vedder. And I said something because grunge. He says that grunge is so depressing, that's why everyone kills himself or something. Something like that. You spit it out real quick, both of them. And I literally looked at him and said, "When I want your opinion, I'll point." FYI, never gonna point. Actually, I think I said, "I want your opinion, I'll point." Shut your pie hole, as I recall. He's like, "Oh, I didn't really mean it like that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's okay. Don't talk." This go, I am surrendering to gravity in the unknown. Catch me, heal me. Me, heal me, lift me back up to the sun, help me survive the bottom. We said before. Let's look on that camera. Let me look. Doesn't look too bad there. Let's see here. Oh, what time is it? Oh, it's getting there. Half hour, right? So I say half hour. It's hard to tell because like it's not a good camera, so it's never going to be good in focus. Tweak it a little bit, see what happens. Better like this, or better like that? Better like this, like that. That looks all right from here. I'm getting sick. That's pretty good there. Okay. This is very vital. I think it's very vital to rock around. It's tricky to rock around, and right on top it's tricky. It's tricky, 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 tricky. It's tricky to rock. Buster out. I had to leave there early. All they just want is please me. I said it's not that easy. It's funny. Yeah, I already mentioned the breakdown earlier. Might as well talk about some more. As part of the work back to, from the collapse I had, I was prescribed to go to the art museum basically by my doctor. I mean, it's not like I wrote a paper, but he just told me, you gotta go. You need to go. Until you feel you can paint again, you need to go to the museums. So, I took the train in to 30th Street and I walked over to the art museum from there. And this came on along the way there, so Tricky came on. And as bummed out as I was just kind of in the mood I was in, just from not having my eyesight right where it was, and whatever. Damn it all if I didn't want to dance while I was walking. All of my time. Say. Too far. Too hysterical. She's stuck in J. They even bother my poor father 'cause he's down with D. So down with me. Shit, I fucked it up. Tricky, tricky, tricky. I know I fucked up probably like half the lyrics of the songs I've been listening to, but you know what? Feel free to call me out in the comments. I just want to see shit working. Oh, for cocaine, lots of dope, but we just leave it alone. I'm gonna do a little carving now into this. What I mean by that, it's like that part there comes out a little bit more. So, might as well get a little thicker. Jay makes pick up the phone on the request line. This is a Missy Elliott time exclusive with the thing down, flip it and reverse it.
so I can show ya. So I can call ya. Girl, I can skank and come over. On the sofa. Don't like to shave my chocha. Won't ya go downtown, need it like a vulture. My abs. Lost a few pounds in my hips, saw ya. Ratatata, ratatatata. So what's that? Blah, blah, blah. So wata. Nails done. Pedicure. Get your hair did. Like a toaster. So it's all good. Bring it closer. Don't I look like a Halle Berry poster? I can see a pen tricks on ya. Never. Better make it hot like Las Vegas weather. Give you what you want. Badunk bonk. Badunk bonk bonk. This badunk donk donk. My ass go boom. Ain't work it. Yes. It's all kind of boys. Do your thing. Just make sure you're ahead of the gang. Ain't no pie. Pasta. The bum bum. Go. Yeah, this is a story about his dog. It's a story about dogs. So the dog chases his tail. He'll be busy. Rhythmic dogs. Harmonic dogs. Style. Dogs of the world unite. Dog. It's the dog. Atomic dog. Yep. Out there on the street. Nothing but a dog. It's one of those moments where I'll be honest, I'm just kind of slapping shit together and see what happens. Starting off with yellow ochre, I just tossed in a bit of viridian and I'm tossing in a bit of alizarin.
green and the red would automatically brown together. I'm not quite sure what I want this to. I don't want straight yellow ochre. That's not going to work. I don't want something, like umber or sienna right now. I don't think that's what I want. But I want to do something that starts to give the outlining and form to the why must I be like that? Why must I chase the cat? Nothing but the dog in me. Because the thing is, think about it. Like, I don't want this to be like super heavy. It's gonna be so much in Wilma. You know what I mean? But the dog in me. Oh, Tommy Dog, man. I always feel the need to talk because nobody's talking. Let's try something else. I was reading today about how Steam is basically deciding to just allow pretty much anything on there now. Anybody got thoughts on it? Here's my thought. I like the fact that there's no censorship of games. That's kind of cool. But see, I feel like they, at least previously, had made some choices based entirely on the overall community feeling. Like, the most recent one that caused a lot of controversy was, I don't know if it was called School Shooter, but it basically was a school shooter game, which they've now said they're going to allow. But they had taken it down at first because a lot of people, surprise, surprise, were very offended by it. They were, thought it was in poor taste. Rightly so. So it's, I thought when the community would get together and say, this is garbage, you shouldn't allow this, I feel like that's a time when they should listen. Maybe you give an avenue for the people to download directly or whatever, or something, I don't know, from the actual game creator. I could see that in some way. But where you don't host it direct or something, I don't know. The only other thing I would say, though, is it would concern me, and I don't know if there's ways to self-protect from those games in a sense, because, not that he does it, but should my son start getting access to my Steam account, there's stuff there I probably don't want him seeing. Not that I have, but if he's browsing through Steam, there's probably a couple things I don't want him the option to go looking at or something, you know? And so is there like a way to super password protect, you know what I mean? Not just like the standard, you know, whatever, so you don't download stuff that you don't want, but like, you know, literally to block it from his ability to search it. Like, can I put a password in that would let me, as an adult, look up something like that? Like, you know, like, I don't know this. What's the type that Doki Doki Literature was a spoof of? What do they call those? Like, I mean, it's like a Japanese like, it's a living novel or something. I forget what they refer to it as. It's like a, you know, animated novel or something. I forget how they call it, but you know, if I wanted to do those, I don't know if I do, but that I would be able to post that in, but not have my kid be able to go looking for those. But from what I understand, there used to be like a lot of dirty games on there that they just took off, and now they're going to be popped back up there, which is like, cool, that's fine for adult gamers who want to do it. That's fine. But again, I'd really prefer if my kid couldn't stumble upon this. So I don't know how they the solution would be for that. Like I said, I'm proud of them for not having any censorship. That's actually a good thing. Games is games is games. If people should have access to them, but just gotta make sure that, you know. Unfortunately, I can't sit on top of my 11-year-old all day. So, you know, I'd like to be able to lock him down from places without him having to feel like he's being locked down. That makes sense? I think, yeah, I don't know. He sweat through his talcum. Newspaper man, he swat like a falcon. Hey, Daddy-o. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President. Look, man, where you been? Use the English to doctor the spin. My bread and butter. Ain't got no other. Ten hot. This one's I don't want to. I guess it's showing up. Okay, that's not bad. I think I need a rag soon. It's pretty much leaking all over the place on me. Ayatollah, he's hopping mad. I bought some damn she had. Send me back to old Baghdad. A spin doctor, shucks, it's so sad. 4:30. It's not late. No, no.
just early, early, early. Ain't got no other.
No, there's a little bit of fuck up here, and I'm not gonna sweat it too much. As I'm thinking about it, like I did the outline just on the outer edge here, but it's easily made up later on. I'm thinking I want to leave that one on all these open. So do the outlines on the darker ends, and then the other ones, you know, throw in a lighter color, yellow or whatever. Make that pop out against the greens. I thought about going like to a deep red, like I said, throwing a lot more alizarin in this, but I don't think that'd be right. I don't want anything to really take away from Wilma once we get into her. Yeah, we have to think ahead a little bit. So I think going subtle back here will take us miles into the foreground later. About the wants. I just want to satisfy your thoughts. When you kiss me, when you kiss me. I just want. It's about your do's and don'ts. Now going back to Steam games, the other thing I wish Steam would allow is let you hide the embarrassing games from your online crew. Look, I'll admit to one, only because, but I'll tell you why I did it, too. Game Grumps was playing the game House Party for a while. Now, it was before they went back to it. They left it for a while. But it was so, like, hilariously bad, and I was like, I wanted to see the rest of this. And I ended up downloading it. I think I started the game once, and I basically stopped. Like, I had to come into it again. I literally started at like probably like 10:30 at night or something like that, and I've never touched it again since then. But now it's in my Steam library. It's like, you know, and they've gotten farther, and they've seen a lot of the funny shit on there. So I'm like, okay, now I kind of don't want to play it ever. I mean, sure, it pissed away the money, but I think it's pretty common with Steam. You know, a lot of people buy shit on sale and then never touch it. A clown. And do the James Brown. I said it before when I listened to the song. Whatever James Brown does, isn't that the James Brown? That line don't make no sense. Drummer son. Give the drummer some. Now I gotta ask this. Not that anybody will answer again. But has anybody ever listened to a James Brown song and just thought to themselves, that had to be a fucking party to be in that recording session? Because it doesn't sound like anything was ever fucking planned, really. Like it had a starting point and it just went off, you know? And then they just cut what sounded like a song. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we'll cut it at, 8 minutes. I just think it would sound like a fucking party to be in. I don't care. I just want our love to last. I don't care. I just want to satisfy your thoughts. When you kiss me. And it's about that time. Nobody's talking, so I'm going to cut it, I think, here. I'll tell you one last little funny story. When I went up to give the kids kisses, good night. And I went into my bedroom. My wife was sitting there watching TV, looking at something on her iPad. I don't remember what it was. Doesn't really matter. But I looked at her dead in the face, and I said, fuck me if I'm wrong, but you want to kiss me. And she just puckered her lips. I can't win for losing. All right, so tomorrow night's another long session. I might even try to get in here a little earlier. I got caught up playing Rocket League. I'll probably get caught up again tomorrow, but we'll see. That's a good thing to stop on too, because it's something I don't want to listen to. Alexa, stop. Let's see what I'm thinking of. Trying to think, but nothing happens. Yeah. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be in there, but I'm trying not to do it too heavy-handedly. So tomorrow night we'll keep on this, doing the outlines, getting that background done. Hopefully we can get it finished. I don't know if we can, just because of that outlining part. I'm trying to be very sort of close to this, At least being able to use the flat brush, it gives me a little more freedom to screw around with it, because I could just sort of tap it in there. So that brush does a really good job getting flat. I'm not sure what I want to do for the shading, for the actual shadow part of it, though. That's the only thing. Because if I were to try to throw it in blues, like I normally do, it's going to go green. It's yellow ochre. There's yellow in it, so it's going to automatically tilt to green. But we got so much green in this already. I just don't want it to be too much of a similar green. So we got to think about it a little bit. Might end up using oxide. Actually, even though it's green, it's the start of a green. It goes gray real quick. You know, we talked about that during Kyram's painting. It goes gray real fast. You know, like gray green. I mean, but I think that might work because it might pull it out a little bit. Yeah, now I think about that. I'm going to note that somewhere before I lose it. Where's my book? Okay, there we go. Let's make those notes. All right, so that's going to be that, I think. So we are going to go kaput. It was wonderful talking to everybody that didn't talk back. Click follow. Love me. It sucks I'm old and, like, decrepit now. So I can't, like, do sad puppy dog eyes. Just because I have to poop. Alright. Good night.